Testing. How's it going? For those who are watching. All right, so I'm gonna start refactoring some of this code. You just let Claude Code kind of do the refactoring. So I have like this editor, which is useful for building out the different like tiles of the actual game. So as you can tell, like when I'm playing the game, it randomly generates different biomes and puts them around the map. So like we have a farm biome. I think there's a gas station. I have a city one. Here's the gas station over here. And so it basically spawns a map, and then it starts filling in random slots with these different special zones. And then certain items will spawn only in these zones. Like the gas station has a bunch of gas cans that pop up. I think the farm has like a shotgun and shotgun ammo and also some gas cans. One thing I wanted to do is I wanted to add the tractor. Sorry, I'm kind of sick, so I'm like coughing a lot. But we have a tractor here inside my like collidables map, and I have this other tool that I worked on which allows me to quickly go into a biome. So like if I go to the farm, I could simply go to collidables and I can grab, I need to kind of work on the UX of this. If I could put a tractor, where should I put the tractor? I'll put it right there. And then what I also might do is I'm going to erase this one so you can like walk in through the top. And then I can save it. And now once you save it, it actually writes to a file. My server will refresh. And then when you connect to the game, if I can find that farm again, it's kind of hard to find these areas. I'm trying to figure out like, I'm still trying to figure out like the goal of the game. Like I want to have it co-op, and I want to have like some type of objective. So like there's a day and night cycle. During the day, you're supposed to go explore and find these like special zones so you can get better items. But I wasn't sure if like, I'm still trying to figure out as I go. But I should make it easier to find this stuff. Here's the farm, and we got the tractor now. Cool. But yeah. This is the thing I'm probably going to spend a lot of time refactoring. The user experience is not the best here. So like, for example, if I wanted to change what items spawn randomly in this biome, I have to scroll down here. And I don't like how this thing is like down at the bottom. I would rather this be, I don't know, maybe an icon you can click which shows a modal. Maybe. I don't know. I'll probably just go slower so I can think about what a better user experience could be. I could either do tabs. I could do tabs, or I could do like a modal or something. I might just try a modal. So I'm going to put this whole panel inside of a modal and have that modal show when you click like a certain button. Let's go here. I'm going to load up the editor. Instead of the item panel being at the very bottom of the editor, I want you to let it live in a modal, which will open when you click on a icon that says items, or like a button that says items inside the biome panel. For now, you can just put it at the top next to the other buttons inside that panel. So while that's cooking, I think there's some other things I want to fix. The undo functionality, kind of broken. For some reason, when I place items, it takes me, like, I have to click undo twice, so I got to fix that. At some point, I might have so many biomes that these are going to go off the screen, so having this be in a drop down or like a type ahead might be useful. Oh, here's the items. Okay, is this done? Still cooking. Yeah, another thing I'm going to do is, if you guys are watching, everything in the editor is literally like, it's just, AI just keeps putting stuff in this one file, which probably not the best. I want to split this up into smaller components and maybe use Zustan to have like a centralized state store. So I might try to refactor that. If this thing's done. Yeah, there we go. So I kind of like this better. So when I want to modify the items, I could be like, okay, I want this zone to also spawn a shotgun, or maybe 2 shotguns. So you can kind of do that, or I can get rid of it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and commit. Yeah, let's try for the major refactoring. So like before I typically dive into refactoring, I should add a mute button here. That's something I need to add in. Like, I'll just cancel this so it's not annoying. All right, what do I want to add in? I want to add in, oh yeah, I want to refactor. Okay, so I have this routes here, which has the editor. Technically, I could just say editor, move that there. And I could say index, editor index. Okay, and now I should be able to go to that. Still works. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to put a bunch of the components. Like I want to take this file and split it up into a bunch of small components. What did I mess up? Yeah, it's still good. I want you to take this editor index file, which is a lot of lines of code, and start splitting it up into smaller components and make them all modify a centralized Zustan store. Some examples is you could make a biome panel, you could make a tile map panel, you could add a component for the items modal. Look through the code and try to figure out the best ways to split this up into smaller modules so it's more maintainable. And again, don't use context or providers. I want you to use Zustan for sharing state between all these components to make it easier. And then I might just throw an ultrathink on that thing. Typically for like a big refactoring like this, I'll just throw an ultrathink because it just helps it become a little bit better. Yeah, let's just see how this works. I have a feeling this might take a couple of iterations to get it working, but I think it'll get there. Some more stuff I see I could refactor, like this could be pulled out to a hook for fetching the biomes or something. Let me close out of Steam. Maybe I shouldn't close out of Steam. I need this open. What's the stack for this? I'm just using TypeScript, and I think I'm using like am I using React Router? I honestly don't remember what I'm using here. React Router. Yeah, I'm using like React Router. So this is like a single page application with React Router. I'm not using TanStack. At some point I might switch over to TanStack. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. I thought a single page application would be fine. This is the same game that I worked on like 9 months ago. I'm just reviving it and trying to add more features to it. Tell Claude Code to ultra think and refactor it. Yep. Basically what I do, I mean, sometimes I'll give it a little bit of a guidance. So like I'll tell it, use ustan, I want a centralized store, split it up into smaller components, just so it kind of knows like what I mean by refactor. Like you could probably just tell it to refactor it and it could maybe do a good job. I like to be a little bit more specific about what needs to be refactored. And this is good. Splitting the stuff into smaller components is good, especially if you're doing like agentic coding, because now you can actually like have the AI update individual components inside of different Claude instances, and you'll have less overlap and less collisions. So the more you split your large files into smaller files, the less chance you're going to have like merge conflicts and conflicts when stuff is editing stuff concurrently. But because this is doing like a big refactoring, I can't really prompt Claude to do any more changes here. So I think one thing I could do is I might add the ability to mute. So like I want a button on this HUD. If you click the button, I want it to just mute all sounds. So I think I could kick that off in a another terminal here. In the actual game, I want to add a button to the HUD where if a user clicks on the button, it'll toggle all sounds to be muted or audible. I might just tag some files like HUD, okay. Just give it like a starting point so it knows where to kind of go through there. But then also I think I have a sound manager. Sound manager, yeah. So I might even tag the sound manager, which is in the client source manager, sound manager. So I guess it's this one. But I'm guessing, oh, I do have an is muted. Excuse me. Debug, disable sounds. Okay, so I have like a, I already have an environment variable that kind of, I can set locally if I don't want the sound to play, which is nice, but I would rather it just like be a HUD button. I think this might be good. Maybe it needs a think hard, maybe it needs an ultra think. I think just kicking it off like this should be fine. Dang. Let me update to to-do. Play walking / running sounds when players move around. And then play explosion sounds when grenade or landmine or gas can, or I'll say gasoline explode. I was trying to make the game not ever need to use the mouse. I'm still debating if I should just add back into the mouse, because I was watching another person play a 2D top-down shooter, and like, you could have technically the player shoot in a certain direction, but then also I could have like some of these things be like clickable. But I'm kind of like a casual player, so I'd rather like, can I just play with like the keyboard and not have to use the mouse at all? Because when you force the mouse, then you have to have two hands, and I like to play games just like with one hand. But at least giving the option could be nice. Hmm. Okay, it looks like it said it added a mute button. I don't see a mute button anywhere. Let me refresh. Maybe it's not there yet. Oh, it's in the bottom right. You guys can't see that, can you? Yeah, I can't click it. I might add it to the top of the screen. Or maybe next to the mini map. Can you instead add it to the right of the mini map? And also when I click on it, it doesn't seem like it works. So double check the logic for knowing if you clicked on a certain part of the screen and if it overlaps with the mute button's rectangle. Also make sure that the mute button is rendered inside the game on the canvas and not like some external HTML tag. And then also, if the user presses M on their keyboard, allow that to toggle the mute button on and off. I think there should be an input manager you can update for that. Okay, it says the editor is done doing this stuff. And the last thing I asked it to do was refactor everything. So the first thing I'd probably do is just like, okay, can I click through? Does this still work? It does. I can edit those. Cool. That seems good, but now we should probably go through the changes and see what it changed. So it moved all the state. Give this a second to kind of do stuff. All right, anyway, so yeah, I mean, the refactoring seems like it's good. I'd probably go through here and just like make sure it all looks good. Basically, we have like a giant Zustan store that, you know, keeps track of if you have buttons clicked or whatnot. And then we have the methods for changing them and toggling them. And then we have some complex actions down here. Okay. And then if you look at all of the different components that were created, create empty ground layer, create empty collidable layer. Okay, okay. To kebab case. We got a toolbar. Create new biome. So that's probably up here in the top right. My head's hiding it. And then we have tile palette. So that's this thing, I believe. Tile map editor. That's probably here. Items modal. Okay. Export section. Create biome dialog. Biome panel. Biomes map button. Oh, this is this whole thing right here. Let's look at the actual index. What's different about this? So now it went down from like 1,200 lines of code to 260. So it's a lot more maintainable in my opinion. Let me see if I can mute now. Okay, I can mute. Think. Good. And I can mute with the M, or I can click it. Okay. Yeah, let's just kind of run through this code again. There's some things that I don't like. So for example, these use effects, I would rather them be like wrapped in a React query or something. So I might actually go to the sounds here. I'm going to clear it out since we know the sounds are working and the refactoring was pretty good. I'm going to add all those changes so we don't like break anything. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is linked to my IDE. It is. I have these lines selected. I might just select both of them. Okay, all of them. Yeah, there's like a bunch of hard-coded localhosts, so we definitely want to like get all that logic out because that's not good. instead of having all these use effects, I want you to bring in tanstack query and create a separate hooks file where I can have all these effects live, and find a way to clean up or abstract away the base URL so that I don't have the hard-coded localhost everywhere. The editor should not know about the backend API. It should just call various methods that are provided by these hooks. Yeah, that should kind of be good. Keyboard shortcuts. Oh, this is for the undo. All right, let me check out chat real quick. Claude Danger is just an alias for the Claude, whatever that permissions is that lets it like do whatever you want without it asking for permission. It's just a bash alias. Have I tried GitHub spec kit? I have not. I've tried some of this like document driven development, like spec driven development, and it seems like it burns through credits so much faster than like what I'm doing. I don't know. Hey, what do you think of the new Claude Haiku model? I haven't tried it, honestly. I have not tried it. Unless like it falls back on it. Personally, I would much rather code with the most accurate model, even if it costs more, if it's a little bit slower. I would rather have one-shot accurate prompting than to have to like come back and test and reprompt. So if Haiku is like even 5% worse in terms of accuracy or quality of code, I would rather just not use it. Yeah, I don't know. Are you using any good MCP with Claude? I mean, I think I'm using Context 7. I could help in the backend stuff. I mean, the project's open source. You're welcome to help out with whatever. I'm just not going to be there to guide you on what to work on. So, like, play the game, join my Discord. If you think of a cool feature you want to add in or some bug you want to fix, you can add it in. What I've seen in the past is people want to contribute and they come in and they do like giant refactorings on everything, and it's like I don't need you guys to like refactor all the code to make it slower. Like sometimes people will come in and like, oh, I have a better way to like optimize the network, and then you check out their branch, and now the server can't even run like within the tick rate, you know? Like if you're gonna make changes, make sure the changes are actually like beneficial to the project, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it makes the game enjoyable. How's it going outside coding? Yeah, I've been working out and running, which is helping, I think. And I'm trying to just stop complaining about AI. Like I'm just kind of using it. I'm accepting it that like it's just the way it is, you know? Add base URL is static, add common constant env. Have you begun using Claude Code at work as well? Yeah, mainly at work I use Cursor. I have used Claude Code a couple times at work, but I kind of just use Cursor. I was tasked by my team lead to try it at work so I don't have to bother with credits and stuff. Yeah, I mean, has it been working though? Does GitHub spec kit, does it seem like it works pretty good? Also, it's faster also. Anthony, after it's faster also. All right, what are we doing? Okay, so we added the muting. We did a refactoring for the use effects, so we should have a hooks directory use editor API. Okay, so let's check this code out real quick. Use spawnable entities. Yeah, that's good enough in my opinion, whatever. Use query client. Just like clearing cache somewhere. Validate queries. Okay. Yeah, I mean this looks pretty standard. I mean, we could probably have a services file. And then we could like move those fetches and the response code stuff out of that. But I mean, like it's fine. All right, so we are trying to refactor some. So let's like add this. And I scroll through here. I want to make sure this all seems pretty good. Sync spawnable entities from queue to store. What is this? You know, why is there an API endpoint for the spawnable entities? That's something I'm kind of... Why? Why is this? We don't even need this. Yeah, I'm going to say we don't need this. We don't need an endpoint for fetching all the spawnable entities. This code is set up as a monorepo, so you should be able to import the types and just use them directly in the editor. There's no need to hit an API to know what entities are spawnable or not. Remove this and remove how it's used anywhere in the editor, such as the use editor API hooks. Might just drag some stuff in here. Routes editor. I miss when you build apps with Next.js. Yeah, honestly, I stopped caring about Next.js. Trying a 2-week or month AI break could be an idea, just plain VS Code. I don't know, man. Like, I just don't think it's very valuable at this point. Like, even at work, like we have this Python project that's in Django, and I've shipped like a lot of functionality and features in that. I don't even know how to write Python syntax. Like, if you sat me down in an interview and asked me to like solve a leak code problem in Python, I couldn't do it. But I'm able to ship and read through the code and understand the high level, like, okay, what this is doing. I just don't think coding stuff by hand and knowing the syntax is as important as it once was, especially as these models get better. We have a giant code base. From what I've tried, it helps with planning and thinking about edge cases. It works good when you apply it to small to medium-sized features so far. Yeah, I mean, I try to use AI and LLMs with like an iterative approach, as you can tell with how I'm doing this game. I ask it to just do one thing. I may wait here for like, 2 minutes as it's cooking and I'll read through the code. But I find that much more a better use of my time than asking it to do like a huge feature. Like I'd rather go through every little component, prompt it, check the code, test it, and kind of do a small iterative approach like that. I think one of the projects at work is like 500,000 lines of code. And sometimes like asking Claude to implement stuff just doesn't work out too well. And sometimes like you'll have code copied and pasted everywhere. Like there's one example, like I'm pretty sure someone's using AI to do a feature, and I'm reading through the code and the pull request, and there's like the same 50 lines copied and pasted 5 different places. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely a symptom of using AI and not actually coming back through and refactoring the slop. Yeah. I think I just need to export something from game shared. Game shared should have the entities in them, I believe. Where are the entities? Here are the entity names. I'm pretty sure this is what it needs to use. Like, it just needs to import this thing. So yeah, we'll see how this kind of works out. So it's removing the API. That's good. We don't need that endpoint anymore. It's going to go through and delete the effect for fetching those in. Spawnable entities, it's removing it. But what is it using in place of it? The items modal is just importing shared constant spawnable entity types. Yeah, I mean, this should be fine. Why is that not... Process is not defined. Let it api.ts. Okay, so this is an issue with, like, I'm importing a package now that must be importing other packages. That's causing importing, like, the API code. Not that type. This is just deleting code, so this shouldn't cause issues. The store, it's just deleting code. This shouldn't have broken anything. This is the only thing we're importing from the shared constants. Yeah, there's literally, unless it's this, entities now. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that one. I might just have to, like, use AI. After the refactoring, it seems like you're trying to import a process inside the UI. I've traced the code and I can't see where it's trying to import. Like, if there's a transient dependency that needs this. Can you try to figure this out? It's like stuff like this, it feels so lazy. It's like, it feels like lazy coding trying to fix these issues. Vite base. Oh. Oh, that must have been a caching issue then. Yeah, because this is definitely like what we need to have. Vite base API URL. Because I swear I had it do these changes and like it was yeah, that's the issue. Okay. The simple stuff like that, like obviously you can't use process env in a Vite app. You have to use import meta env. But like you forget about this stuff. There's like 1,000 things you have to remember when you're coding, and like sometimes you'll waste like 5 minutes trying to remember. It's like, oh, that's why. Especially when you have like a backend that's in Node and a front end that's in JavaScript or TypeScript, and you're like, okay, you start like the lines start getting blurred, and you forget what you can and can't use on the different boundaries. Yeah, so I just wanted to remove that endpoint because it's like it seemed like it's a very irrelevant endpoint. Get the spawnable entities when that's already in a map. I can just import it and know what the list of entities are. Biomes, this is actually like I think looping over the biomes directory to find all the biomes, and this is for storing them by name. What is this doing? Sync biomes from query to store with auto select first biome. The biomes is defined. Set those. Okay, so that's like fetching the biomes from the API, and then it's storing it in Zustan so that my other components have access to them. Auto select the first biome if none is selected. Okay. Load and detect the style sheet dimension. That save status idle after 2 seconds. There must be some alert that shows up for like 2 seconds or something. Let's try that. Let's just go ahead and like make a little change. Yeah, I don't know what that 2-second wait is, but I mean the code's working, so let's just commit this. Export biome. This whole panel is kind of pointless. Like, why is it at the bottom? In fact, I don't even need it. Yeah, I don't need this. I'm not exporting anything anymore. So I think what I could do is like literally delete export section because that's not even necessary. Okay, that's gone now. Yeah, the undo is a little bit weird. Like when you click on it, it increments by 2. So I think we should probably fix that. I'm going to do a new terminal here. We're going to go to the root of the editor so that the AI can like start traversing the imports to know like where to maybe update this one. Or if you want to, you can find the undo button, which looks like this is potentially related to. So like you could copy this in. Well, technically you don't need to copy this in. Like it knows you have this selected. There seems to be a weird issue with undo. When I place a tile, the value inside the undo button increments by 2. You should only be tracking when I place tiles on the biome tile panel editor. I also noticed that when I switch biomes in the top navigation bar, that also seems to push state into the undo queue. The only thing that should ever enter the undo stack/queue is when I place tiles on the map so that I can undo them in the future. Yeah, this is the main thing that's burning me out. It's like web development's cool until you've been doing it for a long time, and then it's like the same stuff. Like sometimes for the majority of everything, like 90%, it's like build a page, add a form, add validation, add an endpoint, add validation to the endpoint, make sure it's secure, write something to a database, fetch something from a database. And then every once in a while you get a really cool task where it's like, okay, I need to do some fan out parallel processing with like a queue and like workers. But I guess it also depends on the project you're working on. I think if you're just working on a typical CRUD app, which is probably a majority of all web development, then you're going to be doing the same stuff. And if you're lucky, you can work on a really cool project that like exposes you to new type of things. But I don't know. Like after doing it for so long, you're like, this is kind of boring. But it is what it is, you know? Which is why I'm working on this game. I think it like combines web development with like something that's actually like exciting. By any chance, would you create a video implementing a monorepo which has Vite for the web and Expo for the mobile? It's really hard with Expo. Metro files already have it. I guess what's hard about it? Like, are there files you're trying to import into the Expo app from the web app or something? I think Expo probably has templates that you can just kind of spin up for monorepo examples. I would just go look at the Expo documentation or like their GitHub. I'm sure they have some monorepo examples. Hi, how can I build our custom protocols? I want to do it. I don't know what that question means. I'm not sure what you're asking. Hi, Toby. Did you just call me Toby? Been following for some time. I am budding engineer, 1 year experience. As I came to see most of the stuff AI is able to generate, what is right thing to invest to stay relevant? Still using only Claude Code. For a lot of these features, yeah, I just use Claude Code. Sometimes I'll use like the cursor chat complete, or sorry, tab complete. Sometimes I'll use the the cursor agentic panel over here, or like I'll use it to ask questions. The cool thing about cursor is that like you can ask it to make like an ER diagram with Mermaid over your entities. Like if you have like a database with a bunch of entities, you can actually have it generate graphs and charts right here in the panel. And so if there's some confusing feature that you need to figure out, like how's it all hooked together, you can say, hey, create me a dependency graph using Mermaid, and you can actually like view your code live. Like it's the most up-to-date relevant chart of certain things. Very, very useful. But I use both. Right now, for this game, I'm leveraging like Claude Code mainly though. Is that a Unity game? No, this is just TypeScript, web-based. I think spec-driven development is good to give a lot of structure to things though. Is it worth it if you know what you want and have the expertise? Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think there's different types of projects, right? So if you're like at a startup or a smaller project where you don't truly know what you want or what the users want, and so you have to iterate fast and get features out there, I think it's a waste of time doing spec-driven development because the specs are changing so often, and you rather just build something that seems like it works and get it out the door. But if you're working on like a large scale project where you know 100% what you're building is going to be used because you're replacing an old legacy system with a new one, spec-driven development is probably the best way to go. Even I think we have to clarify, like I would definitely use test-driven development. Like write the test, and you can use AI to read the specs, to write the test, and then use AI to read over the test and implement the features. But yeah, I guess the main takeaway is like the specs have to be accurate and not changing all the time. Which I don't know. There's like a fine line between like wasting a bunch of time doing stuff, and having tons of tests that are verifying literally nothing. But now you have like 100 tests that verify stuff that you probably shouldn't even be testing. Where can I try the game out? I'm gonna get it deployed at some point. It was deployed to a VPS, but I broke it. So now I gotta like figure out how to like get that all set up. I just haven't done it. It won't be too hard to do. I just haven't done it yet. Not just at work. Work in general has been exciting so far. Tasks are beyond just CRUDs. However, especially with all of these vibe coding content creators, it is literally the same stuff over and over again. Nothing to learn, literally just vibes. How do you make textures? I don't make the. I found a free to use zombie tile sheet. So I've been kind of like using Asprite to make my own style sheets. Like I'll find the things that I want to add to the game. Like maybe at one point I'll add this little barn house. The tile sheet was made very poorly. Like the spacing between the vertical spacing and horizontal spacing is not uniform. I think there's like 4 pixels here and like 1 pixel here. I don't know. The guy who made the sheet like did a poor job in my opinion. So I'm kind of like grabbing stuff, moving it over. And then I also have this ground sheet too. Just to kind of keep it as minimal as possible. But, I mean, yeah, you could try to make your own tiles too. Like you just zoom in. And then you can get like the pencil tool. I think it's B. You can start like, you know, adding in some various things if you're good at artwork. I would rather at some point, like when the game is good, like go find someone who's good at tile sheets or 2D sprite art and just pay them to like redesign everything. Which is nice because if you already have the tile sheet, you can just give it to them and they should be able to come through and like change the colors, tweak stuff. Excuse me. Is the repo public? It is. I can send the link to it if you want. It's right here. I've never seen game inside React. Can you tell what things you're using? Well, it's not really React. I mean, I'm using HTML5 canvas with like a, you know, a game loop that listens for the animation frames. React is basically just the housing of it, but then the actual game itself is all just like TypeScript. The editor is in React because I think using React to build this out is probably a good idea. Well, the game itself, this is all just like canvas. So everything you see here, these are just like I'm drawing a black rectangle and then I'm like drawing text on the canvas every game tick. The mini map, as you move around, that changes your location, which changes like a camera position, which you can kind of offset the mini map. Yeah. If you were a junior and had the ability to pivot, would you still go down the software engineering route? It's a tough question. It's a tough question. I would say we have to wait and see how much further AI can progress. I think a junior coming in, you guys can let me know in the chat. If you're a junior, are you able to just use Claude Code and Cursor and like build stuff out and not have a complete spaghetti code mess? Because I'm starting to see stories online of like vibe coded apps. They're starting to hire expertise to come in and fix all the nasty code that AI generated. And from what I'm seeing, when I do the vibe coding or agentic coding, I do see a lot of nasty code that I have to come through. And since I have the experience, I can come through and identify like this is bad code. I need to refactor this. So I'm curious, if you're a junior vibe coding, does stuff become like literally impossible to add on or extend? Or do you basically just say, hey, Claude, go through my code base and refactor stuff? Like, do you even have to give it like guidance, or do you just say, hey, just refactor this, make it better? You're a professional software engineer. Refactor it. Could you use tile sheet or just use, I'm just using a giant PNG. So like if I were to go and open up ground.png, That's what it is. So this loads into the browser, and then when you're rendering images to the canvas, like when I'm rendering certain things to the game, if I say, okay, I need you to render a tree, all it does is it goes and it looks up a particular offset. So 16 by 16 pixels, it starts at, X of 500, Y of 200, whatever. And it just takes that little section of the tile map and it draws it onto the canvas. Instead of having a bunch of teeny little images, which would be very inefficient, because when the page loads, like you'd have to fetch hundreds of these images individually. I'm trying to have basically just a couple of tile sheets. So I have a collidables sheet, and I have like an items sheet. So for like the shotgun, the grenade, the fire, whatever. And then I have do I have an enemy sheet? Is it enemies? Zombie sheet? Character sheet. It's called a character sheet. Okay, so like based on the type of entity I want to render, I'll just like put new characters into this, and then I'll load that. Yeah, I think I'm very biased when it comes to AI. Like I have coded a lot of stuff by hand. Like if you imagine 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks in a year, doing that for 13 years, that's a lot of coding stuff by hand, and I've become good at like reading code and writing code. But as you do it long enough, you realize that it's very tedious, and it's not that most of the stuff you're writing by hand is just like boilerplate. And so I find using AI like just takes all that boilerplate away, and I can just focus on the actual higher level thinking. But I am biased because I've been doing it for so long. So like, I don't know. I can't get into the mindset of a junior at this point. Like I don't know if AI is useful for a junior or if it like just is not. If I was starting over, I'd probably still do software engineering. Like I don't think AI is replacing software engineers yet. I think you still need to understand like higher level design patterns and code architecture and like system design to be able to successfully even use AI. And so yeah, you can't really learn that stuff unless you actually like study for it. Oh, and security, like that stuff you actually have to understand. But when I use AI, I just feel like, okay, like what's the point of coding, you know? It's like doing everything for me. But I think I'm just like so disconnected from like a junior's perspective or like an intern. And then also there's a bunch of people who don't even use AI. Like I have worked with people who just like their first instinct is to go code stuff. If you go on Twitch and watch streams, there's people literally coding stuff by hand, and they'll spend like 10 minutes on a function that AI could do in 10 seconds. And I'm like, okay, the industry is going to be very, very slow to adopt this stuff for whatever reason. But me, like I have seen the efficiency boosts of using it, and so I'm just going to keep using it. I guess you could say the current version needs hand holding to some degree, but you still need to understand the context and how things work. Yeah. That's what I've seen as well. Like you got to hand hold it, you got to review the code, and then the more you understand the code base, the more context and like individual files you can give it. Like the refactoring I just did on the stream of like refactoring this editor to use Zustan and break it up into smaller components. Is that something a junior would have even thought of asking? Or would they have seen that 15,000 or 1,500 line of, this file is like 1,500 lines of code or whatever. Would they have even thought about refactoring that because it's bad? Like the code is just bad. They need to decouple it and break it up. I don't think they would. And I do think AI will reach a point where like there's just too much irrelevant context that was provided to the chat window, and so it can't accurately make the updates. And so if you can actually be very specific of like, if I know I'm going to edit this over here, then I'm probably going to open up the tile palette, and then I'm going to make sure I ask the question here when I have that already in my, like, you know, my context. But, oh yeah, I think we're trying to, like, fix the undo. It looks like it's pretty good now. Like, for example, flood fill. Let me show you a feature I asked when prompted. So I have a fill bucket, and I told it to implement a flood fill algorithm so that when I select a tile in my palette picker and I have the fill bucket enabled, if I click a tile in the map, I want you to flood fill and replace every tile that matches that same ID. Okay, that's kind of, I'm not sure why they did that. I think I actually have the wrong thing there. Okay, there we go. So like I can just flood fill everything with the exact same. And that was a one prompt and it took maybe like 30 seconds. I have implemented flood fill before, right? It's a breadth first search. You kind of start at a tile, you push the adjacent tiles, and you keep on traversing as long as it's the same tile type. And that's how flood fill kind of works. But since I've implemented it by hand, I know how it works. I've done leak code problems related to breadth first search and flood fill. For me to spend time implementing that again by hand, I just don't think it's valuable. So I rather just let the LLM do it. Now, if you're a junior and you don't even understand how the flood fill algorithm works, maybe taking a day to like understand it, read the Wikipedia page, try to implement breadth first search yourself so you have a decent understanding of how it works, probably beneficial to your career. But again, like, was it beneficial to know how it works to implement it in this? I think it was, because like, would a junior even know the algorithm called flood fill? Like, the more specific context you can give the LM, the better outcomes. If you don't have that flood fill algorithm keyword, then you probably have to make sure you really describe what happens when you click on the fill bucket and you click on a tile, and then maybe you can get it to work the first time, maybe not. All right, what else should I work on this? I got the tiles. This is looking a lot better. Hold on. Okay. What are some other things I wanted to do here? One thing I don't like is the zombies face the wrong direction when they're running. I don't know when that broke, but I think we could try to fix that. Let's see if I can load up a zombie, maybe. Game server, game client. I forget where it renders out the zombie sprite sheet. But if I go to, for example, there should be a zombie. Okay, so the enemy client must have something with the render. Render enemy alive. Direction. Facing. I wonder if facing is just incorrect. Determine direction, this dot velocity. Frame with direction. Asset. Left, right, down, up. I'm just kind of like spot checking to make sure these seem like, you know, the right is aligning with the right. But I did do some refactoring with how the assets are loaded in. Create character assets. Frames. Zombie registry, get all, generate character assets from config. I wonder if maybe like sometimes it's nice to just look through the code before you prompt AI, just so you can like reorient yourself with your code base. Frame layout, start, down, left, up. I wonder if these are maybe let me test something out real quick. Yeah, I think there's just probably an issue. If I go to the character sheet, so by default they're facing left. I don't think the issue's here. I think it's there. I think in code we swap it or we flip it. Flip X. Facing left, flip. I think this is the issue actually. No? Oh, create weapon assets. Okay, this is the wrong thing. You know what? And then I give up. Right now, when the zombie is running left, it shows them facing right. And then when they're running right, it shows them facing left. I think during a previous refactoring, I must have messed up the flip X boolean that's passed in to know how to flip these images. In the sprite sheet, the characters are only ever facing left. And then I flip them using a transpose in code. Can you run through this code and try to figure out where I messed that code up? The heck? Why did it just do not... When the zombie is running left, their sprite shows them facing right. And when they're running right, it shows them facing left. Can you look through this code and try to figure out where I might have messed up the flip X boolean? I recently refactored some code and that broke. It's like stuff like this where it's like, man, at what point do you like just call it? You know, it's like I could have kept diving through the code, eventually debugged it and found it, but I know for a fact the LLM is going to find it in like one prompt in 20 seconds. And that's the part that like kills me about this stuff. It's like, man. The joy of like finding the bug and debugging it. Like I could do this a whole stream and try to debug this issue, but I also just want to get the game done, you know? And if your employer is sitting there waiting for you to like finish features, kind of the same question. Like I know this is a simple one-line bug issue. It's just a matter of me, like I have to go set up the game, spawn the zombie, add a debugger, step through and try to figure out why it's rendering in the wrong direction, or just be lazy and just let the LLM figure it out. It's just formatting issues. Add right frames. Yeah, this looks like the issue. So like the down, left, and up, those are actually in the sprite sheet. The right one, load, flip, X, exit, frame. Frames right for each. I mean, we'll see if this fixed it. I don't think that's going to fix it, though. Yes, it did. Frames right for each, get origin frame left. So it's using those. Okay, I see what's going on now. Well, what's up? All right, you should. Where am I at? I mean, I'll say right now, like, what did I do? If you think and imagine all of the software systems that are currently in place right now in production, every year there's a whole bunch of people who retire. And eventually, like right now, like, I don't know why people are not hiring juniors. It's going to screw us over in a couple years. When you have 5 years that go by of all these seniors retiring and all the expertise leaving the field, and now we're stuck with just a bunch of mids and no juniors who are trained to be mids. I think there's going to be a course correction after a couple years where we realize we basically just screwed over this industry by not hiring juniors and training them. So, I mean, I think you should still learn it. Web dev is still going to be in demand. At least I think so. I mean, there's probably thousands, if not like tens of thousands of software systems currently in production right now that need people to maintain them. I think we're just going through like a phase of like trying to figure out how useful AI is, and companies are like using this as an excuse to just fire people. But I don't know. I have around 4 years of experience. People are directly pushing code without looking or testing, or sometimes code breaks and no one. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that's also an issue before AI. Like, there's people who write code and they don't go the next level of thinking through the edge cases and like writing the test to verify it's good. They just make a pull request and merge it in. And then I think these type of people who don't actually verify the code and understand the code, when they break production, that's when their managers are going to come to them and be like, why do you guys keep breaking the app? And then after doing that enough, they're going to get fired. And so this type of behavior of like just pushing code and not reviewing it is going to be detrimental to not only the software project, but their career as well. Because I do think there will be, like, you will get slapped on the wrist. If you keep on breaking prod and there's bugs constantly, at some point your product manager or your boss or CEO is going to start questioning why you guys keep breaking stuff. And then they're going to find someone who can write code with AI who doesn't break stuff. Maybe try adding trading to the game, a small ecosystem. Yeah, the only thing I thought about was adding coins. So like when you kill zombies, coins drop and you can go and buy items and weapons from a certain place. But trading, this is a co-op game, so like the plan is you join with like 4 of your friends, and you can just like pick up items, and then you can just like give them to your friends by dropping them on the floor. Like that's I think as far as going to take the whole trading. Maybe add trading to the game. Let's see. I have around 4. Yep, crafting system. We do have a crafting system. It's a really rudimentary crafting system, but you can pick up like wood, and here are the 4 items you can currently craft. So I could craft a fence if I wanted to. And so the idea is like you go around the map, you try to get as much supplies as you can before nighttime comes, and so that you and your friends can build some type of base. Kind of clunky though. I got to figure out a better user experience. But the zombies can't walk through this. They'll actually get stuck here and they'll start attacking it. So like that's one strategy you can do. I want to add like a turret, like an auto turret or something. So some type of like tower defense aspects to the game. This one's not going too well. This wall is like getting trapped. And then placing the walls, I don't know. Right now it's like you can place them wherever you want. I might have them place, like, lock into the grid locations. So you can get a better understanding of where you're placing stuff. So as you're walking around, maybe I could highlight the tile that's directly in front of you green. So you know, like, okay, this is about to drop into this one. I don't know. Kind of have to play around with it and iterate, you know? I saw with my own eyes he used cursor to import a function, just one line, and what's worse, he is a backend developer. I mean, I saw someone use cursor to write a cd command to change directories in the terminal. So it's wild. I think some people are like unintentionally like just turning their brains off because there's some things that like it's going to be faster if you just do it by hand. But there's other things that you start getting a feel for it and just using AI is much faster. And I think that's the thing that's going to take some time. Because if you're letting AI change directories in your terminal for you, like you're done. I don't know how else you're going to get good. Let me try to get through these comments. I've been kind of neglecting them. I have tried vibe coding before and it typically ends up in a mess because I don't know when AI might be going wrong, but how to guide it when it gets lost. Not a junior yet. Yeah, I mean, I would say you guide the AI like you're talking to like a junior or a mid engineer next to you. So you tell them, I need you to open up the app.js file that has all the routes for your API, and then I need you to add an endpoint, and then the endpoint needs to have this, that, the other. And so, like, if you can communicate that with a junior developer and they can follow your steps, usually the LLM does a very good job at like following your steps as well. Writing by hand was tedious a lot of times, but you got the joy at the end of it. Now that's rare. Yeah, I think it's just changing your expectations, right? Although I haven't wrote most I can't speak. Although I haven't written a lot of the code in this game, like a lot of this was all AI generated. Like this whole editor was literally built in like 2 hours using Claude or even less. But there's still joy in knowing that like I can start building out the biomes of my game much more efficiently. So it's like you have to actually like change your mindset of like, okay, solving the problem using code was once the enjoyable thing, but now the enjoyable thing is like building the actual product and shipping the features, which it honestly should have been the thing we should all have cared about, like getting the feature in front of the user. I think sometimes we just put so much emphasis and elitism in like, oh, we know how to code and like, look at all this code I'm writing. It's so cool. No one else knows how to do this. But now it's like, bro, an LLM can do that. So you have to kind of change your mindset of where the joy comes from in the industry. I have a full-time job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. LLMs are useful for junior because you can discuss it with different implementations. Exactly. But I mean, a lot of people don't even like read. They don't even read the docs. So you have this tool there that you can ask as many questions as you want. Like you can, I would recommend start with like a simple question like, hey, Claude, can you explain how we typically scale up a web API? And that'll give you a bunch of information. It'll give you a bunch of new terminology and things you need to learn about. And then you need to like proactively go down that path and learn all the different topics that they talk about there. Like maybe they'll talk about a load balancer. Maybe they'll talk about a reverse proxy. Maybe they'll talk about a distributed system or something. So then you have to start asking like, hey, Claude Code, what exactly is a distributed system? Or like how do you shard a database? You know, like what is CAP theorem or stuff like that? What is an ACID compliant database? Like you'll start getting all these acronyms and key terms. And like I think as a junior, you need to be chatting with the LLM every day and learning about these terms and getting exposed to new terminology. And that's how you become more of a mid and a senior, is so that you have this common collection of words in your vernacular that you can talk to other developers with. Recently, I was testing different agent solutions. Cursor was 4.5. Sonnet worked best for me. Others were slow, like GPT-5, Gemini CLI, and less efficient. Even with the same model, need to try Claude Code. Claude Code, in my opinion, is the best, mainly because you get direct access to the Claude models. And I know Cursor does some things with the LLM to like reduce the amount of things you're sending over to the model. I haven't dived into it. I've heard that through the grapevine that like Cursor doesn't give the full context to the model versus using Claude Code. I think it does. And then also, since Claude Code is owned by Anthropic, when you get a subscription, I do believe you get more tokens for less money. So it's like more bang for your buck. That's kind of why I use it. Personally, I don't like coding from a little terminal down here. I think it's kind of a bad user experience. But getting access to the models, that's the most important thing. Like, you know, Cursor has to do something special to save money because they don't own the models, right? Before AI, I have spent around 2 to 3 days working on the same bug. Yeah, and it's like I have spent so much time throughout my career just focusing on fixing small bugs that eventually just end up becoming one-line misconfigurations, like a typo or assigning something to the wrong thing. And sometimes finding out where that issue is, it's just a giant waste of your time because like you know it's going to be a small bug, but you spend a whole day trying to find it, putting console logs, using a debugger, and then you find that you can ask an LLM and it solves the bug in 10 seconds. And it's like, okay. I think it's good to understand like how it solved the issue so that if it comes up again, like you can debug faster. But you have to kind of draw the line in the sand of like, okay, I've wasted an hour on this bug now. Let's just call it. Let the LM fix it for me. Does someone confirm that Claude Code on the cheapest subscription currently gives with 4.5 Sonnet at least average limits? I mean, I guess it depends on how much you're prompting it. Hey, Cody, love your work. Hey, thank you. Are you going to commercialize this game? It's not something I'm really caring about right now, but I could do in-app purchases or something. But no, I want it to just be a free game that people can load up in their browser and play with. And I'm hoping maybe people can contribute to building on the game with me, but... Yeah, I have the VS Code extension. For some reason, I don't like how it works. Like, you can see up here, I can just load up a Claude Code instance. I probably should try to use it. But how do you, like, collapse this thing? I guess the reason I like the terminal is I can quickly just collapse it. I'm not sure how to collapse the side panel. I'm sure there's a way to do it. But the one thing I have seen with the terminal experience is that sometimes, like, the terminal's history will just, like, keep showing stuff. Like, you'll see just infinitely scrolling. And then also, like, with the Claude Code extension, how do I turn it to be dangerous? Like, you know the dangerous mode? Ask before... Oh. Edit on it. I think that's what I need to do. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe I'll try this a little bit. Bigger problem than professional burnout and crud is currently the lack of work on the market and uncertainty. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard getting hired to a job. I think the interview process is completely broken as well. Like, people don't ask the right questions to really identify if you know what you're talking about. And, like, you have 30 minutes or less to, like, convince someone that you're intelligent. When you're in a situation that's already kind of a little stressful, you're meeting someone new, you have to kind of, like, sell yourself. So there's, like, 3 aspects of getting a job. There's getting your name out there, so like the resume or through connections, and then there's getting to the interview, where at any point at the time, like, you could just say something or, like, not have enough coffee that day, and people think that you're just, like, not excited or unmotivated or something, or you say something a little bit, like, you don't answer his question the way that they expect you to answer it, and they're all automatically like, nah, this guy's not worth it. Or they'll, like, ask you a bunch of questions that are completely unrelated to the job or make you solve some silly leak code problem that, again, is unrelated to the job. And that's how they gatekeep you. It's sad, you know? But I guess they had to put these in place because they get flooded with resumes of people who just don't know what they're doing. And so they add all this additional process and, like, this multi-round interview process to make sure that you're actually serious about the job. But it's kind of demoralizing, you know? Like, in reality, most of the people who are interviewing you probably are just as bad at you at coding, and they're probably also using AI to do their work. But they're going to say no to you because you didn't answer some arbitrary question about a terminology that you're never going to use in your day job, but that's what they decided they're going to use to gatekeep you from their company. You can make the in-game trades be just a UI. It just feels like a lot of... Yeah, I guess I could do that. I could have, like, a modal that pops up. There is a cool... Let me show you the... Sorry, every time I start streaming, I end up just, like, talking to chat because it's my one chance to, like, talk to my subscribers. But they have this. This guy could be like a guy you go up and press E to interact with, and you can actually buy items from him or something. and I could have him just randomly spawn in like a certain biome. So that might be something interesting, but if I do that, then I need to add in a money system, like a coin system. And so as you kill zombies, they could drop coins, and you could use those coins to buy stuff. Do you all think that'd be an interesting idea to like prototype and see if it would work out? You can use Zed, it works with Claude Code. Yeah, I'm just not interested in switching IDEs right now. Hey, what's up? Josh, how's it going? Yeah, I vibe coded basically an entire editor for this game now. So I can like modify the different biomes directly here. It's been very, very useful. Like, let's see. Have you found a good way to test UI and fix it by itself? I tried Playwright MCP with Claude. It takes screenshots and yeah, I've tried the Playwright MCP. Yeah, it just seems like some of those tools are probably good if you hook them into like a CI/CD pipeline. Like Claude code, you can actually run by just like tagging Claude on a GitHub pull request or on a GitHub issue. And it can actually pull your repo, make the change, and then create a pull request. So I think having some type of way for it to run your application and click through to verify the changes it's making works is probably good. I have just seen like when I've tried the Playwright MCP, like it just adds in a bunch of time. I would rather just like make the change and then load up the UI and click around myself. But it's you can do it, yeah. Or just having a bunch of like test-driven development, it just adds in a ton of time because like it tries to implement the feature and then it runs through your tests. Maybe you have a ton of tests that take like 5 minutes to run. It realizes that it didn't implement the feature correctly and it keeps on doing this loop. And I've tried it. I tried doing test-driven development with Claude Code and it literally burned through all my credits. Like it was like sitting there for 10 minutes just like burning through tokens after token until I ran out of like I hit my limit. So I'm like I would rather just babysit it instead of just giving it all automation, like just letting fully automating development doesn't sound like a good approach. Maybe one day we'll get there where like all this stuff is just fully automated by a product manager or product owner who just types in their features that they want. But I don't know. I haven't seen good luck with that. I heard on a podcast last night the best way to use is the integration into editor from the terminal inside VS Code. Haven't done it yet, but Josh, Siri, Cody, how do you manage time and energy after your job to work on side projects? Honestly, I just vibe code on side projects at this point. Like I'll just sit down when I'm in bed. I'll like just prompt Claude to add a couple features. So it's like the energy required for me to vibe code is like nothing. Do you think asking someone the version of the language they use is a good question? No, I don't think so. I've seen that before and I thought it was pretty dumb. No, I don't think so. It sounds like you're listening to Coding Jesus. I'm pretty sure he had a YouTube short where he asked like what version of C++ are you using? Like who cares? Interacting with chat. Good. I changed my username. I didn't realize I was showing a username not full of name chat. Yeah. I haven't tried Codex yet. We could try to add that. I could probably add a coin. So when you kill a zombie, you have it drop a coin or something. Do I have any other type of like? Is that $1? I can tell if that's $1 or like something else. Round sprite. Let me load up the item sheet. I think this is it. Yeah. Let's just do a quick little coin. I could probably just find a free coin online. Like have a spinning coin or something. Look at that. That is a nice looking coin. Item sheet canvas. It might be kind of big, actually. I might need to scale that down. That looks silly. But, you know, don't get caught up in the little stuff. You can come back later, hire someone to fix that. You can use AI to generate these game asset sprites now. You can find a free one online. Not the important part. The important part is the logic of getting this thing to drop a coin. I want you to add a new item type called coin. For now, just use the pixel locations for how the sprite should look. When a user picks up a coin, it should increment a coins variable on the player object. After adding the coin item and registering it with the items registry and adding it to the list of entities inside the entities index, I want you to drop a coin when any zombie is killed. Let's see how it does on this one. Yeah, it is pretty. Maybe this is better than using the terminal. This just looks nicer. Got the nice little to-dos. Sorry. I keep forgetting to mute when I cough. Put a 1 in the center. When a player dies, do they drop all their coins? I think so. This is like a co-op game. So what I'm thinking about doing is when you die, other players can come revive you. I don't know if I have space to add the 1. And so I don't know if having you drop all your coins would be beneficial, because like if you're gonna get revived eventually, it'd be nice to not have to like waste all your time picking up your coins again. But I will not say I won't experiment with that idea. Every idea is a good idea, and luckily we can iterate faster and test stuff out. All right, I'm still trying to learn the shortcuts for like how this kind of works. I keep it uniform. That's a fat looking coin. Let's go. Definitely not the same. I'm so bad at this. So we have like 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it's a black bar. And then we have goes in 1. That's good enough, right? That's one beautiful coin right there. What's this app? It's a game. Switching it up. Doing something that's enjoyable. Instead of making pages and showing cards and making forms. No, now my player is walking backwards. You know what? We just fixed this in another prompt. Maybe we can figure this out. Assets. Character registry. No, character config. Player. Oh, you know what? I don't remember how this is working. Left. Right character frames. Right. Oh, the issue is that the player faces right for some reason, but everything else faces left. So I think if I want to keep this uniform, I should probably swap. I should probably just switch that in the sheet. Let me see if I can open up the characters. Open recent. Do I have characters? Here it is. Now, how do I do this? I think I just need to select these. I don't remember how to swap them. Nice. Okay. You know what? I might actually have to just do this one by one to keep it a little bit easier. Shift H. Look at this. I'm a game developer now. Swap all these guys. I just get rid of my my web dev Cody one. That's silly. Wait, he's going off the screen now. They're like going off. All right, let's export this one. Oops. Nice, there we go. Looking fresh now. Okay, so I added the coin. Let's see what happens if I kill a zombie. To find a pistol. Oh, I see coin. But it doesn't display. Can you make sure you display the number of coins a user has in the HUD above the mute button next to the minimap? Also show the coin sprite with the numeric amount to the right of the sprite. So while that's going, I need to find the coin. Image loader get coin. Item config. Oops. Go here. We got a coin. The asset category consumable. Placeable. Throwable. Cloth. Not really a consumable, though. It's more like an ammo. Okay, anyway, so I'll have to go find the location of that coin, because items 3248. Game shared source entity. Item type. I guess it didn't add coin here. Okay, so it's not displaying the coin on the ground. It is in the UI. I mean, it's in the style sheet. So I have to remind myself how this works. We have the coin, the client coin here. Get the image loader, get the coin. Yeah, I'm really trying to remember where this is. Asset key, gasoline, torch, eat items. I kind of wonder why these don't have sheets on them. Maybe it just defaults to item. If I pick up the coin, does it show in my inventory? It doesn't. The coin doesn't render out in the inventory, or it doesn't. It also doesn't. Can't speak. All right. The coin doesn't render on the ground nor in the inventory when the user picks it up. Is there some place I forgot to configure this? I have the X, Y locations of the item sprite sheet set up correctly inside the item config, but I'm not sure if I'm missing somewhere else. Okay, this is supposed to have a coin. Do I not have the right sprite sheet? Let's see, let's go to items. Oh, it doesn't have the right one. I must have exported this to the wrong place. That's why. Sometimes it's a simplest thing that's causing the issue. I exported this to the wrong place. Dashboard. Why is there a dashboard? This should have been website, public, sheets, item sheet. Which means I added like a dashboard folder. I probably shouldn't have added that. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, look at that. Okay, now I can make the coin like bob up and down. Can you make the coin kind of bounce up and down using some type of mathematical formula? Using cosine or sine or whatever, you figure it out because you're smart. Update the coin client render method to achieve this. Oh, the app used to edit the sprites, that's called Asprite. You can find it on Stream. Not Stream, Steam. I bought it for like $9 on Steam. You can also just buy it off their website. I think it's like $20 or something. Coin should be removed after some timeout. So when the rewrite. What's Bevy? Yep, bro is vibe coding to the max. Personally, I don't even like the term vibe coding. I think vibe coding is like you don't even look at the code to understand it. I call this agentic coding because I actually try to review the code. Look at that. I would rather have it more of a. Can you make it more of like a exponential bounce? Right now, it kind of just floats up and down. I want it to kind of like bounce up and down. Keyword exponential, you know? You want the exponential curve. And then I want to play a coin noise when I pick it up. Or when it drops to the ground, I think I should play a coin noise. I'm going to do a to-do, though. Play a coin noise when it drops. Make sure it plays a coin pickup noise. Pickup. What's the last thing I wanted to do? Oh, the coin in the HUD is teeny. Make it larger. Consider the... Maybe remove the coin after X amount of seconds to make it more time sensitive reward for players who risk getting killed because they want the coin. I don't think that actually helped it much. I have to go look at some mathematical formula to make it bounce. But, I mean, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's how I determine it. Agentic, I know what I'm doing. AI is just writing it for me. Bevy's a game engine built in Rust. Have I learned anything new building this game, or are you just having fun making the game? I don't think I've learned anything new. I mean, most of the stuff I've done in the past, like trying to build out games that I never finished. I mean, I guess maybe the game engine part of it, like I did spend like a whole like good couple weeks reading through all the code and making sure that the game engine was kind of efficient. But a lot of stuff I added in, like delta compression for the network, how entities are kind of managed. Yeah, should I take that back? There's some things I've learned. Like there's better ways I've learned to architect how the entities and stuff are all defined by using AI and just asking it to like help me redesign stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything like new that haven't done before. I mean, learning how to use Asprite's something new I've learned. Learning a new tool is always fun. Could also make it randomly choose to drop a coin or not, so the risk is raised even more because you may not get a coin. Yeah, and I could have certain enemies, like boss enemies, drop a bunch of coins. That might be pretty cool. I'll add a to-do there for that. I think it's a pretty good idea. It's just going to take a lot of play testing to figure out like what works best, which I think will be like the largest time sink of like play solo, see how it is, try to play with like a friend or two or my family and see if there's anything that needs tweaking. Would you say your skill set profession is classified as front-end developer or full stack? I would say I'm full stack. And then as long as you include DevOps in full stack, because I've done a bunch of DevOps stuff throughout my career, like setting up CI/CD pipelines and GitHub Actions, Circle CI, learning about Terraform, AWS, tons of cloud infrastructure. I'm building this with just TypeScript. It's the web, HTML5 and the TypeScript. See if I can find the HUD. Ugh, am I doing HUD? Coin counter, right size. Yeah, I need to make this bigger. Yeah, there's a lot of padding here. What's going on there? It's not really a line center, but I mean, I could probably try to just like get this to look better. Oops. What the heck? Why can't I drop? What's going on here? Maybe this is why I don't use the Yikes. Okay, yeah, this is why I don't use this. I'm gonna go back to this. I will say I miss CSS. Like all the HUD stuff is just like straight up rendering with the canvas. And it's a bunch of like math and offsets and margins. It's like, man, I really miss CSS flexbox and gaps and stuff. But I guess I'm not really interested in like building the HUD with HTML5 in case I want to. Actually, I don't know what my reasoning is. I guess the HUD could potentially just be all overlaid. It would make clicking, doing like click listeners and stuff much easier, but Okay, this still looks pretty bad. I think it's because the actual, like, coin is probably not fully centered here. But there's probably some other issues with it too. It looks a little bit better, I guess, but I think the coin, let's find out where the coin is actually, like, being displayed. Draw image, sprite X, sprite Y. Is this the coin? Looks a little bit better. Okay. There's still some tweaking I would do with that, but I think it's good for now. Can you show some crazy types you have written in this game? I mean, I'm flattered you think I wrote most of this code. HTML is goated for UI. Hey, I'm new here. Sorry if this has been asked a lot, but what VS Code theme are you using? I think it's bearded theme stained blue. What's up, Daria? NeoVim is his VS Code theme. I tend to only use Canvas for the graphics part of games. UI is just so much easier with HTML. Yeah. I was thinking, like, if I keep it all in Canvas, maybe that would make porting it to some other language if I needed to in the future. Like, let's be honest, I'm never going to port this game. But if I needed to port it to Rust or port it to some other type of thing that can kind of something other than Electron, you know? But, you know, that's not going to ever happen. So probably better if I just use HTML, honestly. Engage with your audience. What does this do? Start a Q&A. Start a poll. Maybe I should start using this stuff. Ooh. Give me those coins. Daria, I don't know if you've seen some of the things I added, but if you're still here, show you some cool stuff. I've been cooking. So we got like different special biomes with where items will spawn around that biome. So like it kind of increases the need for exploring during the daytime. So you can go and find like important items, or maybe there's like quest items I could do. So we got the farm, we got the gas station, we got the city. And then we have 3 different forest types, which basically just get randomly tiled together. So like, this is the, that's forest type 1. We got over here, we got forest type 2, which actually blocks, okay, this is a bad spawn location. Here's another forest type. Just to kind of give it a little bit of variation, and like you don't really know what you're going to run into when you're exploring. Like this is a forest type that forces you to like, you can't just connect left and right, you have to actually go around. Yeah. Got some coins, so I'm trying to add a currency system so you can actually start buying stuff. I was starting to add like paths throughout all the tile sets. I'm not sure how I liked it. It's just is interesting. I think having these paths that kind of help you know where you can go. I think I just need to change the colors of them because they look very abrupt. What else can I add in? I want to add a campfire in the center here. Oh, I wanted to add like indicators. So if you're playing with like 4 people, when you're like all the way over here, you could maybe have an indicator maybe on the side of your screen that points to where your teammates are, or maybe over here. I could have like little arrows that would, you know, spin around the map that kind of points you to the direction of your teammates. I should probably put that in the to-do. I think that's something that'd be important. Add indicators so I can easily find my teammates. Add the ability for users to find a merchant, which will sell items using the coins players have collected. I think I added a zombie called the Leaper. Leaping zombie. Let me see if I can restart the game. Spawn leaping zombie. So this zombie's kind of, if it still works, if he stays like a certain distance from you and he leaps forward and he runs away. I need to tweak him a little bit because he doesn't really work the way I intended. But I kind of wanted him to, like, you know, pounce in, hit you, then run back to kind of like change up the dynamics a little bit. And I need to get a custom, like, a different model for him. Maybe like a dog. A zombie dog might be pretty interesting. Yeah. Next step is procedural map generation. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it is kind of procedural. It's just random. So, like, I have all the biomes. Oh, another thing I added is the editor. I don't know if you've seen this, Daria, but I vibe coded this in like a couple hours. I can go through and I can change any of the biomes. So, just makes it much easier for me to come in and add new stuff. So I just need to think of different ones. Like, I might add one that's like a pond, like a dock or a swimming pond. It might have like some water, might have a dock. Trying to think about what other biomes I could add in to make it more like interesting. I think it's coming along, you know. Sometimes you gotta experiment with where it's going. I think I have a better understanding of like where I want it to go. I really want to focus on the exploration during the day, and then when night comes, like, try to get back to base and build up your defenses. But maybe I'm just doing a bunch of feature creep at this point as well. But I am open to suggestions. I do want to make the HUD look nicer. I think just having a nicer looking HUD, like have like a Diablo 2 or whatever, where they have like a nice custom whatever. Like this just looks bland. I could probably try to get a nicely designed inventory, a bar for the health, maybe like hearts or something up here, a stamina bar. I did add a running system, so you can see up here it's kind of squashed, but you have 100 out of 100 stamina, and then you can hold down shift and you can start like running in a run out, and then it takes some time to recharge before you can actually start running again. Oh, I want to add running sounds. Add walking and running sounds. And oh, I already have that right here. Yeah, I think that'll just add the nice touch to the game. In game dev, adding features is one thing, but you don't need to go too will. Not sure what that means, like overboard. Making them polished and feeling good is as important. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, are you going to add proximity voice chat? I could. That might be pretty fun. When's the battle royale mode happening? Where one person starts as a zombie and every person they kill becomes zombie until all players are zombies. You know, that'd be pretty fun, actually. That'd be a complete pivot from like what I'm going for. But that's a game that I used to play a lot as a kid, Zombie Panic, where like you have one or two people who spawn as zombies, and they have to run around and try to kill everyone else. You know what? I might even add that to the to-do. That sounds fun. I'm a Japanese front-end engineer. Okay, welcome. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, I think another game mode. Again, these are like stretch goals. I'm not going to focus on them, but I think it would be cool to play around with. When you walk, it should be quiet, but when you run, it should be loud to attract zombies. I think something I should add in is like wave zombies versus idle zombies. So like when the map first gets created, I think randomly spawning zombies around the map and also like inside the special biomes might make it interesting. So like let's say you want to go to the farm biome because there's certain items you know spawn there, but also there's like a powerful zombie you have to fight. But then also not make them like right now the logic is when when the zombie is on the map, it just follows the closest player. So I need to add in some logic, like the finite state machine, to have it operate a little bit different so that it stays in the same biome. You know what I'm saying? Like add in initial map zombies that do not that stay near their spawned biome area and will only chase humans so far. Also, they are not affected by the wave ending. Also, they will not auto be killed when the night ends. Because right now, when the nighttime ends, it kills like every zombie on the map. I think keeping those just around the map would be pretty cool. Walking versus running can attract these idle zombies differently. The more noise you make causes zombies to chase you, if within a certain radius. It'd be cool. I don't know if you guys watched The Walking Dead, but like, what if when you get to the barn, there's like, you can press E on the door to open it, and it spawns like 10 zombies that just start coming out of the door. But if you do choose to do that challenge, you can get like some pretty good items or something. That's kind of a cool idea. For the barn biome, a player can interact with the door of the barn, which will spawn a bunch of zombies at the door, but also drop a lot of good loot. Again, some of these are just stretch goals and just kind of get the ideas out there. Not sure if I'm actually going to do it though. Yeah, one thing I've found making this game is like you go through phases of like developing versus ideation. Like sometimes you just walk around the game and just like get a feel for how it is. And then you can just get a list of features you want to try adding in. Oh, I threw it the wrong way. Yeah, I might add the paths throughout the whole. It just feels empty. Some of the forest scenes feel empty. I think if paths were kind of connecting all these together, it might feel kind of interesting. I need to make the maps bigger too. Like right now, you can kind of get to the edges of the exploration pretty quick, and it's not that fun. Yeah, that's something I thought about. Like I could do like a weight system, so like the more items you're holding, the slower you walk, or maybe the faster it drains your stamina. I think I have a to-do for that. When you kill zombies, it can drop sometimes special items. Yeah, I do have a randomized drop. Usually it drops like bandages or it drops a cloth or stuff or branches and stuff. Back in the H1Z1 days, they had zombies drop locker keys that would take to a floor on the hospital to unlock lockers for meds and supplies. Oh, that's interesting. Is this game based on something or just random? I'm kind of just building it, building it out as I feel like it's fun. Potentially have loot boxes that zombies might drop keys for. So exploration to find the boxes and the keys. I think also having random supply drops. Like if you play Fortnite where like all of a sudden they'll have like a crate that drops. And then you can have like an indicator, a minimap indicator. Hey, thanks for the follow. All right, I've been streaming for 2 hours and 17 minutes, so I'm actually going to end this. So thank you all for joining in on the stream. Oh, proximity voice chat. Let me put a to-do for that. That'd be pretty fun. I actually did add proximity voice chat to another game, but I was using a third-party service for the proximity voice chat. I think using WebRTC, if I could figure that out so I don't have to use a third-party service, would probably be pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining. I'll try to stream more. I'm enjoying building on this game. It's kind of making me motivated again with coding and doing YouTube. But yeah, I'm trying to just focus on one project. Granted, I have 2 projects going on. I got the mobile app for climbing, and I got this app. And I'm trying to not deviate from just working on these 2. So I'll probably start doing some dev log videos and just update on features I've added on both of them. Maybe if there's a good learning experience, I can make a video on something that I learned along the way. I'm still trying to figure out where to take my content. They may even offer it free. Yeah. Oh, I want to get this deployed out somewhere. Let me get this deployed again. This was deployed to my VPS and I broke it. So I'll do that off the stream. Other than that, you guys are welcome to contribute. This is open source. Here's the repo to it. Go join my Discord if you want to talk about it. And stay tuned. I'll probably continue to stream on this every once in a while, make some devlog videos, and see how far I can take this.